Hey, I am doing my nails and I thought I'd catch up with you guys and talk about friendships and connections um, while I do this. So I think that like we all have had our own types of dynamics when it comes to friendships, good and bad. And trust me when I tell you, I've had a lot of good and a lot of really, really bad um, friendships, things that affected my physical well being. And we will leave it at that because I am not trying to unload some trauma right now. um, and like a lot of other things, like many different things were affected, and many different dynamics. So sometimes we get so stuck on, oh, I don't want to like find new friends because what if they do the same thing to me like the last person did? And then we stay stuck on the possibility of the negative and don't think of the possibility of the positive happening. Now, I've had a lot of negative stuff happen to me, and it's just like if I allowed just the thought of like what people did to me, I should never talk to anyone ever again. Like I've been through some messed up stuff. Um and I didn't let that stop me. And it took a long time like healing and working with myself with God and therapy. Um and then also like allowing God to send me new friends. I really had to pray about that multiple times because I'm just like, God, like you send me these friends or I'm supposed to move away. And I've moved a lot in my life, but it's like I had these connections, like now what's gonna happen? Or this, ow, yikes. I ended up having a falling out with this person. They did this to me, or I responded in a way and I kind of ruined the friendship and a lot. And God has definitely sent me different people. And what I've learned is sometimes the healing, like there's certain things that we need to heal on our own, but there's going to be healing that comes with being in connection with other people. Like there was healing of friendships that happened with new people. And then there was healing of friendship with the same person that the damage happened. Some friendships ended, some were restored. It's like there's a lot of different things. There's some things were restored for the matter of apologizing for one another. And then things just we went our separate ways. And that's okay too, because sometimes things you don't have to remain connected. You could just squash the bad blood and it's like, okay, like you do you, I'm gonna do me, and we're gonna keep moving forward, right? And that's that. And it's tough because sometimes you want to stay connected with certain people, like you love certain people, like if they're family, and it's like, okay, like what happens here? And I've had friendships that it's like 12 plus years, a decade, whatever, and certain things, dynamics change, like, and it's tough. um but other people come along, and sometimes your season with that person has ended. You guys have gotten what you need to, or it's like you guys no longer fit in one another's lives. Like sometimes people don't prioritize you anymore because they have other things going on. And it sucks to hear that. It sucks to feel that. I went through a lot of sadness because of that, and seeing like how a lot of different friendships change just because they were in a different season of life, and vice versa. And like people prioritize things differently, or it's just like it wasn't a season to prioritize you. And that's okay. Like, you know, it's happened to all of us. Like, you're not so friends with everybody you were friends with in elementary school. Like, it is what it is. But there's been other people that it's just like friendships from years ago that I'm just like, wow, like, I can't believe that happened. There's newer people that it's just like, when I would act in a certain way now that maybe was similar to how I was before, and other people would be like, oh my gosh, like, you're so weird, you're so annoying, like, I hate that you're like this, or oh my gosh, there's like something always wrong with you. And now there's people that it's just like, they can still call me weird, but like, we could laugh about it. It wasn't like they're purposely trying to be malicious, or that like kikiing, like I think is what people say. Like y'all are making a joke about it, but you really mean malice with it. Um, and you notice like when you tell different stories, it's just like with newer people, they're just like, that's not okay that that happened to you, or that this was said, or blah blah blah, or you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, like for me being this way, da, 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 and you're like over apologizing for things, And the newer people are like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't need to do that. And I respond in that way to certain people. Like, sometimes people are like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, what happened to you? Like, what did people say? Like, because you're good. Like, you're good. And it's an interesting. I'm sorry that my camera is moving a lot. It's because I'm bumping the table. So hopefully I'm not making y'all seasick. Anyways, you just never know. And it's just like, if you don't allow God the opportunity and people the opportunity to show you like they're not the same as the other people, then it's just like you're never gonna see that good. And it's hard, and it's just like you have to come to terms with it. It's what is being triggered within you, what is it that's your responsibility, and how are you going to work on it? Because we can blame a lot of things on other people, but there's stuff that's like it's our responsibility too. Like, everything that happened to you may not have been your fault, or some of it, but there's other things like our healing is our responsibility, like they say. So it's just like, what are you going to do from here? Are you going to stay stuck in like, oh, there's never going to be anyone good, I'm never going to trust anyone? Because it's just like, then other people can't experience the blessing of who you are. Like, come on. And it's just like, those people in your past don't deserve that kind of power over your life. They don't. Like, that's not fair. Like, you can't stop your life and receiving joy and all that because of these people that didn't treat you right. That's baloney. Ah, my eyes itch. Anyways, so it's just like, remember that. And then you have to think about like, what kind of dynamics do you want in your friendship? So really thinking about like, you know how you have some people have a list for the romantic relationships that they have. It's just important to know what your non-negotiables in friendships are, because it's still a relationship. It's just a platonic relationship, and it's like things you will or will not tolerate. Like, there are some things that it's just like, no, like this is not okay. Like, if you're going out with a friend, or friends, and you guys are, let's say, going to the club together, and if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing, right? Like, I'm just putting an example. Y'all came together, y'all need to be leaving together. This whole thing of people leaving each other and just like, oh, I don't care about her safety, or she'll be fine. No, like, there should be certain standards within your friendships. Like, you shouldn't be tolerating constant disrespect from your friends. And the whole like, and I get it, like, everyone has a different caliber of what they see as respect or disrespect, or some people like to joke around a little bit too much. But you have to know, just because you may like to joke around like that, maybe the other people around you, not everyone is the same way. Like, there's certain jokes that I can do with certain people, and then others that I can't. Or there's certain ways that people can joke with me, and some ways that they can't, and I will not tolerate that kind of stuff. Like, you trying to bully me and make it seem like it's funny, like, I don't like that stuff. Like, there's certain things that it's just like, that's not the kind of joke I like. And there's certain things like, my friends and I will joke around, and it's kind of like a poking fun, but it's not like a core thing or something that it's like, like, we don't talk down to each other. It's just like, girl, I can't believe you did that. You know? But it's not like, girl, you're so stupid. You're as dumb as a rock. Not here. Not here. That, because it's just like, those kinds of things start to get into your head and start to live rent free, and start to change the dynamic of how you're seeing life and how you're seeing people. And that ain't it. And you're how you see yourself. And you have to think about like, okay, this is what I'm. That scared me. Something fell off the table, but I didn't see. It's just like, anyways, that's what distracted me. What did you tolerate in your last friendships or relationships? Because they're transferable skills, that you don't want to tolerate now. Like, someone constantly like ignoring you, and you being the only person reaching out. Like, I understand everyone has a different way of communicating, but it's just like, how much is too much of you being a one-sided friendship or relationship? And I'm not saying somebody has to reach out to you every day, because you can't do that with everybody. Like, there's only so much time in the day. Like, there's a lot going on. But it's just like, okay, like, how long is too long? Or are you making those connections when you guys are talking, are they valuable kind of conversations, or is it just like, yeah, I've been good, okay, mm-hmm. Or people that are only like connecting with you when they're trying to get information about you, but not really giving you anything. So it's just like, okay, why are you trying to collect this information? Like, what's it to you? Like, and there's a difference between someone getting to know you, because I'm the type of person, I ask a lot of questions, I just talk a lot. And that annoys certain people. And some people see me as quiet. It just depends, like what kind of access you have to me. But some people are just genuinely trying to get to know you, and other people are just being nosy, just to be nosy or just to get information for other people. But it's up to you to use discernment to be like, okay, like this is working, this is not working, or I don't feel safe, or I feel safe telling this person this kind of information, or whatever. Like, you really have to do an audit on your life. And it's just like, what works for me may not work for you. So I can give you advice, but at the end of the day, you have to do that internal work. Yeah, because this has a pink tint. I didn't even pay attention to that. Okay. Now I'm hoping I don't glue my fingers together because I did that the last time. Yikes. I'm trying to find the right sizes for my fingers. That's definitely not the one. Anyways, so what may work for me may not work for you. And you really have to do that audit. Or what works for you in one season may not work in another season. So you have to also check in with that, because old Stephanie would have tolerated a lot more than what I tolerate now. And because my boundaries were poor, or I didn't understand like what proper boundaries looked like, or what I thought was me being helpful was me kind of like self-sacrificing to the point that it was just like detrimental to so many areas of my life. So it's not like I'm not helpful now, but it's just like I'm more mindful of how much I invest, because time is money. And time is also like what we're investing our time on. It's just like, okay, did God tell me to do this, or do I want to do this? And why do I want to do this? Because sometimes we do things for our ego and not because God said it. But that's a whole conversation for another day. Yikes, right? And that was me, because I wanted to like look like, oh, you're so helpful, you're so kind, you're so whatever, because so many other things weren't going right in my life, or because I felt like such a burden because of my health stuff. I felt like I had to like overcompensate in certain ways. And it's just like, oh man, like I can't show up in this way, but I'm gonna do like the most with all these things, or sacrifice my own health sometimes because it'll look better. Like, because I already feel bad that I'm not doing what I need to do in this friendship. So I might as well go above and beyond and look like the bestest best person. This is not working. This is just like, I should probably have my glasses on and better lighting right now, but I didn't do that, and it's getting really hard to see. That's why it's taking me so long to fit these on. Anyways, such is life. Ow, this is too tight. Nope. Yeah. So it's just doing those check-ins. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, or saying like, hey, this worked before in our friendship, but this isn't working now, or having those conversations, even though that they're uncomfortable, they're so necessary, because it's just like having uncomfortable conversations will help you have better dynamics, a better connection with your friends, and have a deeper relationship. But if you always avoid the hard conversations, it's going to be a very resentful connection. It's just like, oh, this girl's always like doing this, or she just doesn't get me. But it's just like, did you communicate that to her? Like, you're mad here, but did you communicate that to her? Does she know that you feel this way? I just had something come up in my mind, like, oh, okay. Did you communicate that to her? I feel like every time I'm doing like videos, like content for my page, I'm constantly getting convicted on stuff. So I'll pause because I'm like, oh, okay, God. All right, I heard you. All right, thanks. Yeah. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna try to do this and wish me the best of luck. Bye. So sometimes we think other people are only the problem, but sometimes it's us. We need the healing in whatever manner too, because it's just like sometimes we're putting things on people that it wasn't even them. It was old people, old relationships, old friendships, and I have this one friend, love her dearly, and she will call me out on my ish. Okay, she'll be like, I need you to stop repeating this to me because I remember this. Like, I'll constantly tell her, oh, yeah, like, because I'm allergic to this, blah, 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 blah. The one day she's like, I need you to stop telling me this. I remember this affects your life and your well being. So I make the effort to remember it. Like, I don't understand why you keep telling me that, but it's making me feel like you think I don't care. And I didn't even notice that I kept repeating it, but sometimes I do repeat it because there's people that are or were close in my life that they knew, or I constantly have to remind them, or they constantly forget, and I'm like, oh, okay, like if they forget, I might as well protect myself so I don't get into a dangerous situation. Like I was once given by someone very close to me something I was really allergic to. My throat closed up and everything, and everything turned out fine. Like because her mom's a nurse and she had like medication in the house, and it was crazy. But like she wasn't trying to kill me. I'm just gonna make sure that I say that. She wasn't trying to kill me. She just knew I loved cookies and she was really excited for me to try these amazing cookies that she got. And she even like after she had like given it to me and given it to the her sisters were like, why are you eating those crackers? Like they're like these animal crackers, and then they're like, those are the ones that she can't have. Like she's allergic to the this or whatever. She's like, oh my gosh. And I started feeling like, I was already feeling like weird. Like my throat was like swelling and I'm like turning red. My face is like, it was a lot. But I constantly, like, I didn't know that I was constantly repeating, but it was just like, it was deep in there. Like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want something like that to happen again, you know? And the new friend is just like, I know, like, I have the list on my phone. Like, we constantly talk. Like, you say it like all the time. Like, you don't have to do that. And unknowingly I was holding her responsible for things that other people did or didn't do. Um, and I had to actively work on that. It's still an area of opportunity, but it's just like, you know, I had to actively work on being better at that because like, I can't penalize her for that. And it's just like, you have to know like what you're doing too that's affecting your relationships. Are you not communicating in a way that best serves like not only you, but that person? Like for me, you telling me all these things first thing in the morning and I have not eaten, I'm still processing life. I'm still trying to adjust. And I've had to like be honest with certain people. I'm like, look, it's not like I don't care. It's just like I nothing's going in right now. And I had to like communicate that. It's just like I want to be a great friend to you, but if you're unloading all these things first thing in the morning and I haven't even eaten, I haven't processed what life looks like for today, I can't respond to you in a way that's going to serve you, right? And it's just like that doesn't benefit either one of us because then I'm gonna come off like I don't care or I'm not listening, and you're gonna like not get what you need out of our conversation. You know, I feel like I didn't press this one down enough or put enough glue. Well, it's not moving. It just has like this like white tint, and I don't know if that's like the gap or it's my cuticles or I don't know. Anyways, so shoot. I forgot to put it on the other thing first, the fake nail first. This is getting a little difficult. Yeah, so thinking about that is important because it's just like you saying, oh, well, this is me and they just have to accept me how I am. Okay, I mean, yeah, in a sense, that's true. But also, if you only operate that everyone has to serve you, this is why you're getting crappy dishes. Like, if you treat people in a certain way and you're being selfish and not not willing to have a compromise that's like safe for both of y'all, then you're gonna get the results that you put in. Like, that's not fair. It's not fair for you to be the only one benefiting from a relationship. Or like if you're the person that's like, oh, I'm always inviting people out, but I know somebody is not in a good situation financially, and I tell them, oh, you're not a good friend because you never hang out with me anymore, but you're purposely only wanting to hang out with things that they can't afford. That's not being a good friend. And you're playing a part in that because it's like they can't show up for that. Or if you're inviting them to, like, let's say they gave up drinking and you're only inviting them to clubs and bars, and you're like, well, that's what I like to do. Well, that's what they can't do anymore. And you're making it seem like they're awful because they won't show up and protecting themselves in something that they're choosing not to do anymore. There's plenty of activities you can do that are free or that aren't with alcohol or not in a place that they don't feel like is okay or that they're not interested in. It's not only about what you like. Like, and just because y'all used to do something together, maybe they don't want to do something like that anymore because of reasons they may or may not disclose to you. Things change. People change. Like, and that's the hard part about growing up. Um, and when you're starting to do different things in your life or not do certain things, it's just like people can see it as it's a personal attack. But at the end of the day, like you going to these places that no longer serve you, it may be an attack towards you and your mental or physical health, or bring you back to places that you're working so hard to get out of. Like I I'm gonna be very honest. I used to go clubbing a lot, and I am not attacking anyone. If you go clubbing, that's what you choose to do with your life. I used to go clubbing all the time. I used to drink a lot, um, and I did not like people invading my personal boundaries. And in certain clubs and bars, people like to bump into you. People like to touch you unsolicited, and especially men towards women. And they would say things that were kind of disrespectful. And I was the type of person that I just did not tolerate things at certain times. And I hit a few men, and not like slaps, like very hard pushes or punches. Yikes. And so I don't like really going to these environments because even though I may not really act like that anymore, sometimes when you're in certain environments, certain things get re triggered, right? And it's just like, dang, like you haven't done this in a long time. But if somebody like looks at you in a certain way, like, yes, we are supposed to like guard our mind, guard our flesh, and not be quick to anger, but we are humans and we are imperfect, right? So instead of like going back to the vomit that and eating it, I just avoid it, you know? Like there was one time and I went like in the last couple years, and I didn't get violent, and people had bumped into me and it got like too hot in there. It was too much, and I was proud of myself for not acting in that certain way, but that doesn't mean like I'm going to keep putting myself in certain situations that may reignite other things that I like stayed away from, or I don't act in a certain way, or puts me in a predicament that doesn't represent me of who I want to be now and who God has called me to be. Because every once in a while, that girl, she wants to come out. Like, oh, you think you could try me like that? You think you could act like that? Every once in a while, she wants to come out. So instead of going to these places that remind me of that, I just don't do it. I miss dancing all the time. Like I think that's what I miss the most. But for me, it's just like I'm mindful. Like what I ask people, like whether it's friendship or romantic partners, like what do you like to do for fun? And if they only want to party and stuff all the time and drink and smoke and all that stuff, it's like, ooh, that ain't my thing. Like maybe we don't have like similar interests when it comes to this, or our dynamic. Like maybe we shouldn't be like tethered together in a certain way, or maybe we could just discuss like other things, you know, and like the kind of access that we have is just like, okay, like it's a different kind of dynamic, you know, like, okay, like maybe we could just focus on work, or we could focus on our art, or we could focus on other things in life. But for me, like you don't have to invite me to like that kind of setting. Like I'm not gonna go. How about we like go to a restaurant or go to a museum, or we could try something different that you've wanted to try, or whatever, you know, and like finding that common ground there. Because it's just like there's certain things like, oh, okay, like, oh, you're gonna write this person off, but it's just like there's other things that it's just like, no, like how can we make this work that is appropriate and that God say we could connect. But if you're telling me every day like you're smoking I can't be around that because it's just like because of my health. There's certain things that I'm like, yeah, like I don't really want to be around that. I can't like and the way we communicate to people is so important. Like we can have disagreements, but we don't have to be yelling and screaming and cursing each other out. Like that's not okay. Like it may have been okay with you and another friend or you and your family or you and whatever, but everyone's not like that and that shouldn't be your only way of communication. Like if you can't communicate without cursing somebody out or having to raise your voice all the time, you need to work on that. I'm telling you. Se me pegaron los dedos. You see? Don't take nail tips from me. My fingers are starting to stick together. I think I put too much glue. Yikes. My fingerprint, man. Anyways, how you communicate with one person is not the same as you communicate with the other person. So you have to see like, okay, and asking those questions. Like, don't be scared to ask those questions. Like I even like with one of my best friends this summer, I asked her, I'm like, how can we like elevate our friendship? Like, how can I be better? Like, is there something that like I do that's really not working for you or that worked in another season but isn't working now because like you're a different person now, you are in a different season of your life than before, etc., etc. And we talked about that. Was a little awkward in the beginning? Yeah. But you know what? It's better than you staying stuck and being like, dang, like I how am I gonna be better? How am I gonna have a better relationship with my best friend? And I can't even have a conversation with her. Like what? Or it's just like she ain't the same person that I met 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I'd have to do the math. But you know what I mean? Like those things change. Let me not glue my finger again. Those things change and it's okay. But I think if we start seeing those conversations as it's an opportunity to grow together instead of just like, oh my gosh, them giving me feedback is just like I'm a horrible person, we would be so elevated. And obviously it depends like how somebody gives criticism. It needs to be constructive. It's not like you're badgering them and being so detrimental to who they are as a person. Like it's not okay. It's not okay. The way we talk to each other is so important. Like when I see how some people talk to their friends, I be like, or how they talk to their family. You talk to your mama like that? No, no, no. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I was not sure about these nails when I saw them in the store. I was just like, I don't know. Okay, I also have like a really bad eczema outbreak. So if my hands look like scales and lizards, that is why. Okay? Now I'm going to show you guys it now that you know. Because the internet is very judgmental and they don't be knowing about what people are going on. So shh, don't say nothing about it unless you have great tips, okay? Don't be mean. Look. They're like very close. Like they're like a pinkish color, but they're like kind of close to my skin color. Like it looks like a nude ombre style. Ombre is man in Spanish. I don't know. It is way like it's. I think it's midnight right now. I should be asleep because I have to get up for church tomorrow, and I'm going to a new church. That in itself has been a journey trying to find a church here in North Carolina. So prayerfully, this one or next week's church is a good one because I'm trying to find a home church. Like one church is still my home church, One Church LA, but yeah. But anyways, I hope y'all believe that there's better, more elaborate friendships and relationships for you that are healthier, but also do the inner work and don't scare people away. Because I think that's the other thing. It's just like sometimes there's good friendships and we scare them away because it's like, oh, maybe I don't deserve this friendship or something bad's going to happen or you don't know how to receive the love or you think something is tied to it. Like someone does something nice for you and you're just like, oh, they're going to expect something back or they're going to do something to me or they're going to say something to me or it's always attached to something instead of some people just being nice to you. And because you're not used to that, you can scare the good friendships away. And it's very important that you do that inner work and dialogue, and it's just like, okay, why am I not receiving this? And you could journal it, you could talk to a therapist about it, you could talk to God about it. I think writing it down helps a lot, or doing video journaling is really good for me, because sometimes I don't like to be writing whatever way. I just like to talk, and it helps me really like elaborate more and seeing like my expressions and playing it back on another day and being like, oh, I see it now. Okay, you know? But it's just like better things are going to come. And I hope that you find yourself in a place to receive it and also reciprocate the love that's coming to you in your life. All right. Y'all have a blessed day.